2 hours into the show, Brian, at this point. And then here came Seth freaking Franklin Rollins in Liberace's pajamas. And Seth is a babyface again, and they were in Iowa, and it's his home state. And he's out there doing a promo telling Roman Reigns that Mondays don't belong to you, they belong to me, Monday Night Rollins. When Theory's music interrupted, and he actually has a ton of heat these days. The people seem to really be offended by his presence. And he can talk, and we've mentioned, none of us have any idea what Seth Rollins' gimmick really is, but, the dancing and the prancing and the laughing. But then I figured out what was wrong with this. If this was AEW again, or any other wrestling program since the dawn of time, these guys could probably have a fairly nice argument with each other because they're both fairly glib these days. Seth Rollins came out of his shell. Theory's got some attitude. But all we get is the WWE thing, and you'll know what I'm talking about, where they just stand there in the middle of the ring and trade scripted comments and laugh and make faces at the witticism of the other. Oh, that's a good one there. You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're talking about, yeah.
It's because the writers write these scenes rather than two grown adult men having an argument or a disagreement or just busting each other's balls, all of which happens at one point or another in the world of sports. They're doing a scene where they make witty remarks and they react with a chuckle or of an expression to the witty remark that was made and then come back and play on that. They're playing parts and they're reading lines and nobody's mad and you don't care. And then after about 5 minutes of this, Seth, all of a sudden, he started yelling. So now you know he's serious because now he's yelling. And he made the challenge for a match right now. Rollins and Theory. And suddenly, the Usos show up at ringside. And Seth says, well, we've got company. We'll deal with this later. So the guy he's been talking to and just challenged for the past 5 minutes because the Samoans show up in ringside. Well, okay, we'll deal with this later. Well, and the Usos climb in. And, of course, Theory, being a heel, bails on Seth. And the Usos jump Seth. And the heat did not look real great. Just a lot of weak kicks is what they're doing, all of them these days. And then music plays, and here comes Kevin Owens. And he attacks the Usos, and Seth gets back up. And they nail the Usos to the floor. And, okay, there's some excitement. By the time the Usos have backed up and stood up from taking their bumps out, both Rollins and Owens have microphones in their hands. This show is 3 hours fucking long. Instead of giving these matches 25 minutes sometimes, take an extra 30 seconds to stalk around the ring, get pissed off, and yell and scream for the ring announcer to give you a microphone. It's just so pre-planned. Now they challenge the Usos for a tag team match that will happen apparently later on in the program. Okay, great. So now Owens and Rollins, that have had a rivalry in a program earlier this year and several matches, they're going to team up against the Usos. So we got a story to keep us to the end of the show.
Oh, yeah, that'll do the trick.
Well, at least they're trying.